Today on Cooking with CCAP, we'll meet Chef Susan Batten, an associate instructor at Johnson & Wales University. She's been with CCAP since its inception back in 1991 and has helped students achieve their goal of becoming chefs and restaurateurs. She will also demonstrate the finals competition menu and show the proper way to prepare these dishes for the coveted scholarship awards. So stay tuned for some insight on the careers of the culinary arts program when Cooking with CCAP returns.
These kids are in trouble. They're not getting high on drugs or stealing. If they were, you'd do something about it right now. But why is it almost half of all parents who suspect their child has a problem learning wait a year or more before getting help? Why? Kids with learning disabilities are smart. They just learn differently. Call now. The sooner you get help, the better the chance your kid has.
They won't leave you for someone younger. They won't notice you've gained weight. They won't fire you. They won't talk about you behind your back. All they'll ever do is love you. Find the love of your life. Visit PetFinder at aspca.org.
Welcome to Cooking with CCAP. I'm Debbie Horniak, your host. With me today is Susan Batten, executive, well, you're the associate instructor for Johnson & Wales University.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell me, what does an associate instructor do?
Teaching.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I teach. I am an advisor to sophomores. I'm a sophomore advisor. And we have all the instructors around here. It's a pretty tight-knit little family, but we all have input into curriculum. We help develop curriculum, things like that. But our main function is in training of chefs of the future.
Now, I've noticed everywhere chefs wear these big, tall hats, and I know that the students, they have to wear hats for sanitary purposes, obviously, but why such big hats?
Traditionally, it goes back centuries. The tall hats to the Middle Ages. Chefs went and they lived in monasteries, and to differentiate themselves from the monks who wore a tall black hat, the chefs wore a tall white hat. And it's just evolved for a sanitation thing, keep hair out of the food. It also helps protect us from, it gets hot in the kitchen, sweat dripping down into your eyes. And there's a hole at the top to let steam out.
Kind of like a
Not
little
for when you get
smokestack.
yeah, to help keep you cool. And then traditionally it's pleated, and the number of pleats traditionally was supposed to tell how many ways a chef could cook an egg.
Interesting.
The French.
Okay. Now, the CCAP program originates in the high school, but that trains the students to come to the university. How did you get involved with the CCAP program?
I got involved through the American Culinary Federation, our local Tidewater chapter. Richard Grousman, who is the founder of CCAP, approached the local president, former President Frank Furillo, about the program, and Frank was always really interested in getting kids trained and getting them, sparking that interest in culinary. And so it's evolved from there.
Okay. Now, in the next segment, the students have to do a finals competition. And in the next segment of the show, you'll be demonstrating exactly what it is that the students have to prepare and how it's supposed to be properly done. What are the judging guidelines for this competition?
Oh, the guidelines are more than just cooking, because being a chef is more than just cooking. It's the student's appearance. How do they look? Do they look neat? Is their uniform pressed? Do they have their hair pulled back? Do they not have jewelry on? You know, the girls aren't supposed to have nail polish on. So a lot of it's appearance. Do they look the part? Do they work in an organized manner? They may not be the best at the skills, but are they organized? You know, have they prepared themselves? Do they have all of their food, you know, organized in a logical order? The finished product is a large part of it too, and the judges can go around and talk to the students as it goes on. So you know, we get an idea about their personality also.
Oh, so it's not just a matter of them preparing the dish and it's tasting properly and looking, having a good presentation to it, but it's all about appearance, how they conduct themselves, how organized they are.
Right.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is, it is.
Now, why this particular recipe? It's a poached chicken with chive sauce, tornade vegetables, and a crepe dessert. Why this particular recipe?
All of these show, the whole meal together shows a lot of different skills. Poaching, not overcooking the chicken, not undercooking the chicken. The chive sauce is pretty tricky. It's an emulsion, so to make it so it doesn't break or separate is very tricky. The tornade vegetable shows motor skills. You know, do they come out looking like a football? So it's a motor skill thing. With the crepes, it's the same thing, and a lot of it is attention to detail.
Now, okay, now you said that's what's teaching, but why do they have to memorize the recipe? I noticed in the packet that I was given that it says students must memorize, no notes allowed. That's pretty, that's a lot.
Again, it's a very intense competition. There's a lot of money at stake with the scholarships. And it just shows if somebody really, really wants it badly enough, they'll put everything they have into it. And having to memorize is part of the business. You have to know what you're doing without leafing through a book all the time.
Yeah, and that takes up time too. And
Yeah.
there's a time limit for this
There is a
competition.
time limit, right.
How long is that?
I believe it's an hour and a half.
Hour and a half? Whew, that's
It's tight.
Yeah.
It's real tight.
Now you also have a preliminary competition, an omelet competition.
Right.
This seems like such a, I don't want to say insignificant, but obviously it's something that is a basic skill that is required and it's important. What does this particular competition teach the students?
To quote Patrick O'Connell, who's the chef and owner of the Inn at Little Washington, he says that's part of his interview, is you have to make an omelet for him. At one of the best restaurants in the country, he says, if you can't cook a single-celled food, how can I expect you to cook anything else? And it makes so much sense.
It
It
does
seems
make
a
sense.
simple technique, but it's kind of tricky. Again, it shows motor skills.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, what do you look for in a student?
I think, and I kind of canvassed the other instructors before this interview, we look for somebody who's motivated, who's got energy. This is a high energy business. The hours are long. Motivation, you got to want to be here. You got to want to learn. None of us ever finish learning in this business. There's always something new to learn from someone else. So even if somebody has absolutely no idea what they're doing and they've never cooked before, I would rather have a student like that, and I think all of us would, who is motivated and wants to learn and wants to be here, than somebody who has experience that's just kind of floating through life. It's that drive, that motivation. There's a spark there that you can see.
Yeah, and you had mentioned earlier too that it's easier to teach someone who's not so much experience, but you can just start from scratch with them. And
Right, they don't have to unlearn bad habits.
Right, right. Now, for an aspiring young chef, what advice would you give them?
Learn everything you can. Don't stop learning. Learn from everybody you can find. I think that's really important. Learn from, there's more than just the internet. You know, read books, read magazines, talk to people, and do everything you can to learn as many different things. There's no school in the world that can teach you everything you need to know. You have to do a lot on your own. You have to have that drive, and you have to really enjoy people. You have to enjoy food. You have to like to eat. Doesn't mean you got to weigh 500 pounds, but you have to like the food, and don't let the food rule you. You control the food doesn't control you.
How do you mean don't let the food rule you?
You're in charge, so don't let the food run your menu. You plan the menu around the seasonal foods and things like that, but you're in control of cooking, you know, and don't let it rule you.
And basically have fun. Enjoy what you do.
Have fun. This is a great profession to be in.
Coming up, the finals competition menu. Learn some tips and secrets to preparing the same gourmet meal used to compete for scholarships to world-famous culinary schools.
What is a hero? Are heroes born, or are they made? In after-school programs, your kids will uncover hidden strengths, discover they have the power to change their future, and find the hero inside themselves. Let us know you on after-school programs in your area. Call 1-800-USA-LEARN. After-school programs, helping kids find the hero within.
I believe my education at Norfolk Public Schools has prepared me to be responsible and to be an individual in college. The education that I received at Norfolk Public Schools was very diverse, and I was around a lot of different cultures, and so there was no culture shock of coming to college. There were a lot of people in my dormitory first year that had never been around so many different types of people, so many different types of cultures, and I was prepared for that through Norfolk Public Schools.
Next, a lesson in crepes, poached chicken, and vegetables. To make the pastry cream, simmer 1 cup of milk to a boil over medium heat. Whisk 3 egg yolks, 3 tablespoons of sugar, and 2 tablespoons plus 2 teaspoons of cornstarch in a small bowl. Mix well into a nice smooth paste, and it's totally free of lumps. Stir about 1/4 cup of the warm milk into the egg mixture. This will equalize the temperature so the eggs don't scramble when added to the hot milk. Then pour the entire contents of the bowl into the saucepan, stirring constantly.
Very important step. We need to bring this back to a simmer, otherwise the cornstarch will not cook and you'll have a very starchy, pasty flavor.
You may want to use a rubber spatula to get to all the corners of the pan because it will thicken quickly. Take it off the heat and whisk together until smooth and all the lumps are gone. Once your mixture is smooth, add 1 teaspoon of vanilla and mix well. Transfer the pastry cream to a bowl and press plastic wrap right on top of the surface of the cream so a skin doesn't form. Store in the refrigerator until you're ready to make your crepes.
Another important tip, if you're using an aluminum pan and a stainless steel whisk, you don't want to rub these really hard together or your pastry cream will turn gray.
Your basic crepe batter is nothing more than 1 cup plus 1 tablespoon all-purpose flour, 3 eggs, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 1½ cups of milk. These ingredients can be mixed in a blender to ensure a smooth consistency without the worry of lumps. Allow your batter to rest for about 30 minutes. While allowing your pastry cream to cool and your crepe batter to rest, prepare your main entree. The first thing you'll want to do is tourne your vegetables. That is, carve your vegetables in a curving motion with either a paring or a tourne knife. This will turn them into a football shape that has 5 or 7 sides. Starting with the carrot, cut it into slices that are a few inches long, and then tourne your carrot. If it doesn't come out evenly, you can always go back and trim it up. Do the same thing with the zucchini. Cut it into slices that are a few inches thick. You can also cut those slices into halves or even quarters for easier handling. Follow the same tourne motion as you did with the carrot. You'll also want to leave part of the green skin showing for color and so that it has a top and bottom.
Now when students are first learning, this is a very fine motor skill. It's a lot of hand-eye coordination that they might not be used to. So we had a student suggest, or I believe it was a teacher, suggest that you try an egg. And you just, to get that motor skill down, you just put your knife on and you just practice. See, it's a lot of wrist movement of one hand, and you just learn how to follow the shape of the egg. And that gives you your initial hand-eye coordination and that basic motor skill. Then once you get good at that, again, you can go back. And this is what we look for. We look for somebody who has their tournays might not be great, but at least they're getting the basics of a new motor skill, and that's what a lot of cooking is. A lot of slicing and dicing and things like that is just learning new hand-eye coordination. Okay, that's it.
Be sure the chicken stays refrigerated until it's ready for use. Trim all the fat, sinews, and tendons so that it has a nice, neat appearance. The skin is removed as well because when poaching, it will draw up and look unappealing. Sanitation is also very important, so be sure to wear plastic gloves when handling any type of raw meat. This is also the reason why the vegetables are prepared first, so there's no danger of cross-contamination.
So our chicken is nicely trimmed, has a good shape. We're going to take the chicken and we're going to put it in our simmering chicken stock. And it's important that this stock does not boil. The students will have made the stock previously and brought it with them from the recipe from the book. and the stock needs to be just at a simmer. Now, simmer's about 165 to 185. And if we had dropped this into boiling water, it would tighten up and we'd get a lot of shrinkage and the breast would be really deformed. So we'll drop it in there, and you need enough stock for the chicken to be completely submerged. That's very important, so we don't have to turn it over. It needs to be completely submerged.
The chicken should be simmered for approximately 15 to 20 minutes or until it reaches an internal temperature of 165 degrees. This will kill any salmonella bacteria that may have been present. When testing the temperature of the chicken, you'll want to put the thermometer in the side of the chicken rather than on top, otherwise it will ruin your presentation. When the chicken is done, add the carrots and allow them to cook for about 5 minutes or so before adding the zucchini, because carrots are more dense and will take a little longer to cook. After that, add the zucchini. It'll only take a few minutes, so you can turn off your stock at this point.
Okay, the vegetables are cooked, and it's always a good idea to cook an extra vegetable or two just so you have a tester. Make sure they're done. Ours are done. So we're going to bring them over and put them in some ice water to stop them from cooking so they don't overcook. This gives us plenty of time to make our chive sauce and to slice the chicken, and we'll put the vegetables back in the hot poaching liquid, the chicken stock, just before we get ready to slice the chicken, and that will heat them back up so we have nice hot vegetables to go on our plate.
The next step is preparing the chive sauce. Start with a half a cup of the chicken stock. Make sure the stock is not salted, so by the time it's reduced, it's not too salty. Now add your chicken gloss. This is made by taking about a quart of your unsalted stock and reducing it until it's about a half a cup. It's going to be real syrupy, so when you run your finger through it, it'll feel very sticky. Add a small amount to your chicken stock and cook until reduced to about half. Let it boil down until most of the water has reduced and it's a syrupy glaze. Now turn off your heat and gradually whisk in the butter a little at a time. This is a very rich sauce, so you won't need a whole lot. It's an emulsion, which means it's two liquids that don't normally combine. It's also a very delicate sauce, so once you've made it, you can't reheat it and let it boil because it'll break or separate. Add a few drops of fresh lemon. You don't want it too tart and lemony, so be sure that you have your tasting spoons nearby. It's always a good idea to taste your dishes to make sure they're prepared properly. Add the chives and whisk together. Before slicing the chicken, put your vegetables back in the stock to reheat. Take the chicken out and begin slicing for your plate arrangement. Make nice even slices against the grain. If you make them on the biased, you'll have nice wide slices that give you good plate coverage. Arrange the vegetables on the plate and fan out the slices of chicken so there's a nice flow. Pour your chive sauce over the chicken, and then you can garnish your plate with a few sprigs of chive. And there you have your main entree.
Okay, the crepes. We're going to get our pan nice and hot, spray it really well with some spray, or you can use some oil, and then we're going to put our crepe batter in. Now this is important. You want a minimum of batter. Tilt the pan, add the batter, roll it around to get as thin a crepe as you can get. And then we're going to put it back on the heat and let it set before we flip it. The crepe batter is nothing more than flour, eggs, and milk beaten together until it's really smooth. And you want to do this way ahead of time so the batter has a chance to rest and the gluten has a chance to relax in the flour, and it won't produce a tough crepe. And it'll tell you when it's ready because it'll start to slide, and then you just flip it. Let it stay on the other side for about 10 seconds just to cook the batter. And take it out. You want a little bit of nice light golden brown. That's it. Give the next one and you just do production line. Again, it's the rolling and it's just a twirl of your wrist. That's important in getting a really, really paper thin crepe. If it doesn't shake loose, don't force it. It'll go when it's ready. Not quite. Oh, there we go. And oh, not all of them work out, so plan on making more than you need. Finish it off, and you plan ahead of time how many crepes you want to do your plate presentation. I've already done some here, and we're ready to go.
The final step, assembly of the crepe dessert. Take the pastry cream from the refrigerator and spread a small amount on the crepe. Fold it in any way you like, but keep the browner side on the outside. This is a light dessert, but the pastry cream tends to be a little rich, so you don't want to put too much into your crepe. Arrange on a plate and drizzle with the chocolate sauce, which is simply melted semi-sweet chocolate with a little bit of water. You want the sauce to be a little thin and not gloppy for easier decorating, or for more precision, you can put it in a squeeze bottle. This sauce is rich as well, so don't use too much, but just enough to enhance your grapes and not hide them. And there you have your finished creation, ready to serve and appeal to even the most critical eye.
This is the story about a group of kids who volunteered.
Doing something nice for someone. We fixed stuff. Did some art projects with the kids. We fixed up his house. We worked in the woods.
Cleaned up the park.
Did something for the planet.
We just did it.
No other reason.
And you know what? It was great.
At first, they didn't know each other.
Well, that didn't last long.
This guy is really funny.
Me? Ace are my
New friends.
Are you into it?
Call 4-H or check out our website at areyouintoit.com.
All over America, people are taking the National Radon Test. Have you?
You put me on the spot.
True or false? Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer.
True. I'd say false.
No, it's true.
That's something new to me.
The Office of the Surgeon General recommends all homes be tested for radon.
False.
It's true.
True.
So it's bad. We should get our house tested.
Sure, I'm gonna call it.
1-800-SOS-RADON.
How can you not call?
1-800-SOS-RADON.
Next, a look behind the scenes as students compete with a rather familiar dish, but the reward is a scholarship to culinary school. The omelet competition is a process by which students are graded on their general appearance, work habits, technical skills, and of course their final product. Students must maintain a grade point average of at least 2.0 in order to compete. Contestants with the highest scores in the competition advance to the finals, where they will contend for scholarships to culinary schools nationwide. In this preliminary competition, each school is allowed to send 2 seniors and 2 juniors to the competition, but only the seniors are eligible for the scholarships. Juniors are awarded training, workshops, and trips to culinary schools in New York, Rhode Island, and London, England. Each competitor also receives a knife kit in a leatherette bag, which does come in handy since part of the competition is demonstrating their knife skills. The students are graded on proper handling, their confidence of use, and the uniformity of the finished product. Although a seemingly simplistic dish to prepare, the classical French omelet is not something to be dismissed. It has a very specific technique that the student has to perform flawlessly. The omelet should only take about 60 seconds or less to cook, but it has to be the perfect shape, color, and texture. Not only do the students have to demonstrate their knife skills and cook a near-perfect omelet, but they also have to have 2 letters of reference, one from their teacher and one from their food service employer, which, by the way, each student should have a job in the food service industry. They also have to turn in a handwritten, not typed essay stating why they chose the culinary profession and why they want a scholarship from CCAP, and have sent in an application to a culinary school or in the process of sending one in. All this on top of performing their skills in front of judges who are watching their every move and then critiquing them on their final product. Talk about nerve-wracking.
I was nervous all day long once I figured out what I was supposed to be doing. And then when I got in there, I was okay, but I was still a little nervous. I just took a deep breath and I did it, but I don't think I did too well, to my satisfaction anyway.
My students entered as juniors last year, so they were familiar with the routine, but we started back in September. We did the omelets, we did the knife cuts, and once we had those skills down, then we started working on presentation. We do white sauce lessons that the students teach to an audience and the audience evaluates. and a variety of things like that. It's one thing to just do it in the kitchen by yourself. It's another thing when the camera's there, the judges are there, and all of the other students are there. So there's a lot to the self-confidence and their ability to cope with stress.
Of course, these skills were not something the students just happened upon. It took lots of long classroom hours and lots of practice.
12 dozen eggs, buying bags of carrots, going home, practicing after school, after work, and strenuous work at the Votech Center.
We started out when they were first-year students in the Introduction to Hospitality class making omelets and learning nice skills. And then in Culinary 1, we prepared the menu that they do in the second round of the competition. So by the time they're seniors and they're in Culinary 2, we actually have already gone through all the basics. We spend some time at the beginning of the school year going through the menu, practicing. We do lots of omelets. We make crepes. We also have guest speakers come in. We have Johnson & Wales students come in and do demonstrations for the kids. And basically it's just practice, practice, practice.
Out of the many participating schools in the Hampton Roads area, only about 15 to 20 students make it to the finals where they get to compete yet again. This time, the prize is the actual scholarship, which can range from $500 up to $43,000.
This is my 10th year as a CCAP instructor, and I almost feel compelled to prepare my students to participate in the competition yearly. So I started at the very beginning of the school year, teaching the Culinary 1 and teaching the basic skills so that they will be prepared to do the things that's required of them when they participate in the competition. And I also use resources from Johnson & Wales and other culinary schools come in and talk to our students and do demonstrations and prepare them for competition.
The Careers of the Culinary Arts program has helped thousands of public high school students nationwide, awarded over $5 million in scholarships, and have donated over $1 million in kitchen merchandise. With the schools, community, and local businesses working together, we can make the dreams of our youth come true. CCAP is just one avenue.
I think it's very valuable. It's good practice for the kids as far as having an opportunity to perform their skills in front of other people. The scholarships are great. The students who are really interested in culinary have a real opportunity to get money for school.
I think it's great. It's really pushed me to do like what I want. I want to go into cooking, and I really hope that the scholarship and everything that I'm going to be going for and competing against is really going to push everybody, including me, to do what they can do.
For more information on the Careers Through the Culinary Arts program, contact your school's health and science instructor or visit CCAP's website at www.ccapinc.org. And we'll see you next time on Cooking with CCAP. Today on Cooking with CCAP, we'll meet Mrs. Sharalyn Midgett, Senior Coordinator for Health and Human Services and the Co-Chair for the Careers Through the Culinary Arts program. We'll find out how CCAP came to be and what keeps the program going. We'll also talk with Ms. Tabitha Monroe, a graduate of CCAP and now a student at Johnson & Wales University. See how this program started her on the road to a career in the culinary arts. Then we'll learn how to make gourmet-like meals without spending a whole lot of time in the kitchen. So don't go away. Cooking with CCAP will be right back.
The best investment we can make is the investment of time in the lives of children. Children who will become tomorrow's leaders. That's why 4-H is so important.
It's so rewarding to know that you're influencing or helping or developing other people.
Kids are the future, and if we can raise better human beings, then tomorrow's world will be better.
Discover the world together. Be a 4-H volunteer. To find out how, contact your local extension office.
Come on, David. Come on, David. Let's go, David. Come on.
Come on, David, you got the love.
Get as involved in your kids' education as in everything they do, and imagine the success they might find. Stay in touch with the teacher. Visit the school. For more tips, call 1-800-281-1313.
Go, David. Go, David.
Welcome to Cooking with CCAP. I'm Debbie Horniak, your host. Joining me today is Sharalyn Midgett, the Senior Coordinator for Health and Human Services, and you are also the co-chair for the Tidewater CCAP program.
Yes, I am.
Now, I know CCAP stands for Careers Through the Culinary Arts Program. How did this program start, and who started this whole thing?
This program started in New York City by a man named Mr. Richard Grousman, who is the director of the program and founder, and he saw that in the high schools in New York City that they were lacking some of the basic skills that students needed to be trained to become chefs, not just home economics students. And that's where he really felt that he could help by bringing in major corporations to help out with a program to train these kids.
Now, and how long ago did this start?
It happened in 1991.
Oh.
It happened in just a specific part of New York City, and after that time, he saw the need everywhere in the country, not just in New York City.
So, okay, so it's in New York, and it has come to the Tidewater area. Is there anywhere else that it's
Well,
being...
actually, we saw it at in a press release one day, and we thought, what a wonderful program that could be in Tidewater. So when we called, he said, well, Norfolk City is just a little too small to have the program only in that city, so how about the area cities? So we contacted all the area cities, about 7 of them, in fact, and everyone has been very cooperative, and now we have 31 schools involved in this program.
Wow. Now, who's eligible for this program?
Any student who is enrolled in one of the public high schools, who also is in the Family and Consumer Science program, and they should be in the 11th and 12th grade.
Family Consumer Science program, that sounds so high-tech. I mean, didn't that used to be the home economics program?
It used to be the home economics program, but we've changed our whole image and our whole focus. We're now training for occupational skills.
Okay, so elaborate on that. What does that mean? Home economics used to be just sewing and home
Well, it used
stuff
to be cooking and sewing, but you know, we still do a little cooking and sewing, but we do it for a different purpose. We're now looking at the career of a student and the total child, in fact, because we want them to be a whole person when they graduate, and also to look to a career, either post-secondary in a college, university, or some type of certificate program.
Okay. Now you said this program is available to any high school student. I also understand that Norfolk has started a pilot program where in the middle schools, 8th graders now can start in the CCAP program. Tell me about how this program got started.
I'm really excited about this program because it's the first in this area, and it's in our 8th grade class, and it is a credit-bearing class, and it's called Introduction to Food Occupation / CCAP. And these students in the 8th grade were interviewed in 4 different schools as to whether they were very, very interested, because we want them to start looking at a career focus down the road, not just to get into high school, become a senior, and say, oh, I think I like cooking, I think I want to be a chef. So start them at the 8th grade, get them interested, and get their GPAs up so that they can qualify for a good scholarship when they get to be a senior.
Okay, so that's the purpose of starting them earlier, but is that going to put them, like, advance them even more when they start? Because like it starts in 11th and 12th grade. What is it that they're going to, I mean, 11th grade is the normal starting point, and then when they get to 12th grade, they've got that area there too, but as they start younger, how is that going to place them in the program?
It's a very good program because it's good for several reasons. One is that it is a credit-bearing course, and the students will actually waive their Introduction to Hospitality program that they must take if they're in the career cluster for culinary arts when they get into high school. Therefore, they can concentrate on some academics that they need for
a well-rounded education. When they get into the 11th grade, they have so much more training than the other students have had, and they can really start earlier because they're working with chefs in the industry. The teacher that is working in a family consumer program, the culinary arts, actually knows these students and will take these students in for special workshops and different things. We never let them go. Once they're in the 8th grade program, we follow them right through high school, and as a senior, they have major opportunities.
Now, if an 8th grade student is interested in starting this program, who would they contact?
They need to contact their family consumer science teacher at that school.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we don't have family consumer science in all of the middle schools, but in some of the ones that we do, either the family consumer science teacher, guidance counselor, or principal.
Now, which school has this program?
We have it in Norview Middle, Azalea Gardens, Ruffner, Lafayette, Winona, and also Lake Taylor Middle School.
If a student who is not at that particular middle school, can they get involved in this program? Or is it still like in the early stages?
If they're at one of the middle schools that does not have the program in the school, no, they can't get into that program.
Okay. Now, once they finish the program in high school, how can they take what they've learned to the college level?
Well, because it's such a good program, we involve so many of the Virginia State SOLs and all of the learnings that come along with integrating academics. They can take all of their basic skills that they learned in the Family Consumer Science course, as well as the math and the science and the communication skills, because they're needed in the business of restaurant business or becoming a chef.
Okay. Now, CCAP is all about getting scholarships together for students to not just about the scholarships, of course, it's training them to become the chefs, but they also have scholarships for these students. Tell me about these scholarships. How do we get the scholarships for them?
We cannot get those scholarships on our own. We have to depend on our founder, Mr. Richard Grousman in New York City, and he has many friends and people in the community colleges and the national and state universities that have agreed to give us major scholarships. Johnson & Wales is one of our major sponsors. They give many bucks to our students every year, and we're just so grateful to them because they also come into the classroom as well as give us big money. They come in and work with our students.
Okay. Now, if you said you get your scholarships from donations, and if a local business wanted to help out a student or the program itself, how would they go about making a donation?
Okay, we would love to have local business or industry in the area give us money for scholarships, and they would need to contact Mr. Richard Grousman, and his website is ccapinc@aol.org.
So that's CCAP Incorporated,
That's right.
CCAP Inc. at
AOL.org.
Okay. Thank you, Sharalyn.
Thank you.
In our next segment, we'll be talking to Tabitha Monroe, who is a student at CCAP and is a graduate from Norfolk Public Schools. So stay tuned. Coming up, find out how a graduate of Lake Taylor High School earned a scholarship to one of the finest culinary schools in the nation when Cooking with CCAP returns.
On September 11th, America faced terrorist attacks of the worst kind. Innocent lives were lost, and a sad cloud was cast over this great nation. These acts were intended to cause fear among all Americans, including our children. But we cannot let that happen. There are things we can do to help our kids. Talk with them, listen to them, tell them they're safe and that they're loved. God bless you, and God bless America.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I
am
An American.
I am an American.
I am American.
I am an American.
I'm an American.
I'm an American.
I am American.
I am an American.
I'm an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
Welcome back. Joining me along with Sharalyn Midgett is Tabitha Monroe, who is a student here, a first-year student at Johnson Wales University, and you graduated from Lake Taylor High School just in 2001, and you were also a recipient of an $8,000 scholarship from CCAP for Johnson Wales University. That's quite an accomplishment. How did you receive that scholarship?
It takes a lot to receive that scholarship. Being active in the culinary arts classes, in my junior year, my senior year, and also applying for it. You have to keep your academics up and things like that, and be active in your culinary skills.
And you did that. Now, why the culinary profession? Why did you choose this particular career?
It interested me the most when I got to high school. Coming into high school, I really didn't have a clue what I was going to do, and I had a class which was actually a hospitality class. But when we got into the culinary arts field of it, it interests me a lot.
Did you do a lot of cooking at home?
Yes, yeah, I did. Just little things though, not a lot of extravagant things.
And that's what got you started into the culinary. Now, being a part of CCAP in high school, how has that helped you in your college career?
A lot of the preliminary prep things that go on during your freshman year, that I came in with that knowledge. A lot of people who came in, that I came in as a freshman with, they didn't know certain skills and aspects of those things. So I came in with that knowledge and got a heads up on it, actually.
And the CCAP program helped you. Very good. Now, Sharalyn, I understand that students have to keep their grades up. They have to have at least a 2.0 GPA.
Yes.
They have to obtain basic skills in the food industry by working in some sort of food service job in high school, as well as when they come into college, in order to compete and qualify for a scholarship. Now, what about those that have the skills and the desire to be chefs, but they don't have the academics to be eligible?
Well, there are so many important things that go with a well-rounded education, and Mr. Grousman and I and many of the teachers have always said, don't let these students go who have the ability, or they can go out and achieve what they want to even though they can't make the grades. So we've always had a place for those kids that fall a little bit behind in the grade level. They can't make that 2.0. I had a student last year said, please, I can't make that 2.0 GPA, but I'm serious over this. I really want to go to school. So we have options for them. We sent a student last year to New England, to the New England Culinary Institute, for a 6-month period where he did nothing but train under chefs, just actually work, and of course he had communication skills with them, but he has come back now with a certificate. So we have a place for students like that. Also, we have a local community college that if we work with them and they are tested and we can follow them through the school, that they will be successful too.
Now, in the culinary profession, it's not just a matter of just being able to cook something well and make it look good and all this other stuff. I understand that CCAP also helps out in the Virginia SOLs. Tell me about that.
Yes, it does. It's very important with Virginia SOL reinforcement in the classroom. Our students have a lot of math and science skills that they must know, as well as communication skills. Being a chef or working in the restaurant business, it's important to know your customers' needs, and in order to charge the appropriate amount on a menu or to figure cost in preparations of food, there are many of the SOLs that apply to this program.
Okay. Now, Tabitha, since being here at Johnson & Wales, it's quite a difference from being in high school and then coming to college. It's a whole different world. What's the biggest obstacle you've had to overcome since being here?
The biggest obstacle I would have to say is managing my time. Just balancing the things like with school and different things that go on at home that I'm involved in and other things like that. It's just a huge balance of time.
I can imagine it would be. Now, in the next segment, you two are going to be showing us these different dishes that they're nutritious, they're good. I mean, you don't have to, being in the culinary program, it would be kind of sad for you guys to be eating fast food all the time. You have to know how to make good, nutritious foods. And you're going to be showing us how to make these things that won't have to sacrifice taste. And for all of us who literally eat on the run, and I'm sure you do too, being a college student and being a career woman, it's not easy to budget your time. So, Sharalyn, tell us about some of these dishes that you guys are going to be preparing.
I think many people don't realize that you can really make a nutritious, good-tasting, hearty meal or a gourmet meal just by using a little bit of your thought process and pre-planning in something. But today we're going to do a crab soup, and the crab soup is a real elegant part of a meal to serve as an appetizer, and it's very delicious, and it's hearty, so you don't have to serve much of it. It takes hardly any time at all. And a pot pie, which is a delicious main entree. It's very hearty, served with a salad and some crusty bread. It's a delicious dinner and can be made in no time. And then a quick dessert that people think that you've done a lot of work on.
You know, it's funny because when you're in a hurry, you don't think of crab soup or, you know, a seafood salad or even a pot pie. I mean, you buy something from the store that's ready-made, you stick it in the microwave, and you're good to go.
Well,
but these are things you can make that doesn't take any time.
Right, and you can put that seafood salad together in no time, make that salad dressing in no time, but people think it takes a lot more time than it does to make a good meal.
Okay. Now, in closing, Tabitha, what advice would you give to students who are currently enrolled in the CCAP program? What would you tell them?
I would tell them to keep up on their academics and keep up on those kind of things, because even though you have the skills in the culinary arts, not to let your academics lag and different things like that. But that's basically the whole thing.
So keeping up the grades.
Right, that's right.
And what about their skills?
To practice their skills. They need to, if you don't practice, you'll lose it. And you'll forget, so you have to practice.
If you don't lose it, you lose it.
That's right.
Coming up, a lesson in preparing fast, nutritious meals without sacrificing taste. So stay tuned. Cooking with CCAP will be back right after this. Next, recipes that will enable you to prepare a nice home-cooked meal in less time than you may think. To make a mouth-watering pot pie look and taste like you spent hours making it, the first step is to put some prepared crust that was purchased in the store in a medium-sized baking dish. It doesn't have to fit perfectly, but make sure that it does cover the bottom and sides. Using a knife or fork, poke a lot of holes in the bottom so it doesn't puff up like a tent. Bake in the oven at 450 degrees for about 10 minutes or until the crust is a golden brown. While the bottom crust is cooking, slice up your leftover beef or poultry. Since you'll be using previously prepared meat, it's not necessary to wear plastic gloves. Also, be sure to cut away any excess fat before placing it in your pie. In a large pot, combine the cut-up meat, 2 cups of frozen vegetables, and 1 cup of prepared gravy. Depending on how much meat you're using, you may need to add an additional cup of gravy. It's all according to how moist you want your pot pie. Add pepper to taste and 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce.
You have to remember that everything was prepared and store-bought, so you're going to have a lot of sodium in this, a lot of salt. You don't add any salt at all.
Stir your mixture over medium heat until it comes to a simmer. Now pour the heated ingredients into the cooked bottom crust. Take the second prepared crust and lay it over the top, folding the sides under to give it a nice edge. You can also crimp the sides to give it a more decorative look. And if you're feeling really creative, you can cut out some leaf shapes from some extra crust that you've bought. Using a fork, press into the sides of the shapes, creating a leaf-like edge. Arrange on top of the pie, but be sure to score the top of the crust before doing this to allow steam to escape.
The good thing about pre-prepared pastry dough that you buy in the store is that it can be saved after you use a little bit of it. You can put it in an airtight container or Ziploc bag and put it in the freezer for up to 3 months and use it again. So save all that you have left over. The next step, we're going to brush the pastry dough with an egg wash mixture. And this is 1 egg yolk with a little bit of water, and you use a whisk to whip it up. And you brush the whole pastry dough with this, including your decorative pieces. And this will turn nice golden brown and give a shiny appearance to the finished product, which looks really nice. It makes it look like you've spent a lot of time and effort on your fast dish.
Bake your pie in the oven at 400 degrees for about 30 to 40 minutes or until the crust turns a golden brown. Crab soup is not a dish one would think about making when cooking on the run, but this recipe is quick, easy, and very tasty. To make the crab soup, you can start with 1½ teaspoons of dried parsley, or, if time permits, use fresh parsley to equal 1 tablespoon. But be sure to remove the stems and wash thoroughly. Proper use of knives is one of the many techniques taught through CCAP. It comes in handy here so that Tabitha can get a nice fluid motion with the knife, which results in evenly chopped or sliced foods. It's one of the skills judges look for in the CCAP competitions, and something that will definitely help when one goes into the culinary profession. Melt a half a stick of butter on low heat. Add 1 clove of minced garlic, the chopped parsley, and sauté together. Fold in 8 ounces of crab meat, stirring together with the butter mixture until heated through. Now add 2 cups of half and half and 1 can of cream of celery soup. Stir together until completely dissolved and it's warm throughout. For the final touch, and to give the soup that little bit of zing, add 1 teaspoon of cream sherry and 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. A pinch of white pepper to taste, then stir together and serve with oyster crackers or your favorite croutons. Then enjoy! The next dish is probably the easiest seafood salad you'll ever make. It's bursting with flavor and only takes minutes to prepare. As always, fresh herbs are best, but when you don't have the time or they're simply not available, you can use dried herbs, but just use half the amount. When preparing to make your shrimp and scallop salad, it would be best to make the dressing ahead of time to allow the ingredients to come to full flavor. In a large salad bowl, combine 3 tablespoons of white wine vinegar, 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard, squeeze half a lemon, and whisk together. Add 3 tablespoons of olive oil, a half a cup of canola oil, and whisk that together. It is important to mix your ingredients as you go to be sure that everything blends well together. A dash of salt, and a dash of pepper, 1 teaspoon each of fresh chopped chives, dill, and basil. But remember, if you're going to use dried herbs, use half the amount of each. Mix well, and you can either refrigerate it overnight or just set it aside until you're ready to pour it on your salad. Arrange washed and dried lettuce leaves on a plate. With this particular recipe, we've used romaine lettuce. Take 3/4 pound each of cooked, peeled, and deveined shrimp and cooked sea scallops. Gently stir them in the dressing until thoroughly covered. Arrange the shrimp and scallops on top of the lettuce. Then garnish with some large croutons and a few sprigs of the fresh herbs. This is a very attractive dish and will look and taste like you've spent a lot of time preparing it. And now the final dish that no dinner should be without, dessert. This Italian whip is light, delicious, and as with all our other recipes, easy to prepare. In a large bowl, combine 1 cup of prepared instant vanilla pudding, 1 cup of whipped topping, and whisk together. Fold in 1 cup of any kind of fruit, in this case fruit cocktail, that has been marinating in 1 teaspoon of almond extract. Be sure to drain as much of the liquid as possible so it doesn't cause your pudding mixture to become soupy. Spoon into decorative glasses, then garnish with sliced almonds and a cherry. Cooking on the run has never been so easy, yet the results are gourmet-like meals that would satisfy even the most discriminating palate. With recipes like these, you'll never have to worry about sacrificing taste and nutrition for convenience again. All it takes is a little planning and a few simple ingredients. And we'll see you next time on Cooking with CCAP.